Kevin Saunders and the Gretna Hawks not having a season like Hawk fans are normally used to down there in Hawk Nation, but Kevin Saunders offers some explanation. I talked to him this past Sunday. We talked about last week's loss to Altavista, and we talk about this week's matchup as the Hawks step out of district against Brunswick. It's Kevin Saunders, always gracious with his time, for us here on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Really missed talking to Kevin Saunders the last few weeks of the high school football season. He is the head coach of the Gretna Hawks, and I don't know if he would appreciate me calling him good, close, personal friend, so we'll stop at that. So, Coach...
you can call me good, close, personal friend anytime you want.
Okay, good deal. I don't know actually if we both went out in public and said that. I don't know who would get more of the eye raises, but anyway.
You would probably.
Let's move on to some football talk. Friday night, I think maybe some heads turned and some people were surprised, but Altavista is a pretty good football team. What did you see?
Well, I mean, they are a good football team. They were a good football team last year, and they've won a state championship here. I guess it's 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the last time they won one, and Mike does a good job. I mean, to me, it's not that shocking that, as far as, you don't want to lose, but, I mean, it's not like we're losing to teams that are terrible by any means. So, they got a good football team. We made some mistakes, and, they caused some of those mistakes. And, it's just the way it goes.
I'm just going to be honest here. I think a lot of people that don't see football games but see scores get a little, maybe, I don't know if worried is the right word, but more into the what's wrong with Gretna when they see Gretna beating Tunstall by not as much as they would have beaten them in the past and see other things. Is anything wrong with Gretna right now?
Yeah, we don't have any, we don't have Tony Miller, Nick Miller. We got sophomores and freshmen and juniors playing that have, never played, and, nothing's wrong with Gretna. It's just, it's one of these things where we had 16 seniors last year, and now we're down to, this year we have 3, and, really only one plays, and so the rest of them are all underclassmen. The only returning starter we got 2 returning starters 3 on offense. That's it. And on defense, we have 2 on defense. So, I mean, that's just, a lot that you have to replace. And so, everybody so far most of the kids, this is just their 4th high school varsity football game that they've started and played. So, the only way they're going to get any better is play games. I mean, if we could play 2 games a week, I think it would be beneficial to us. We just got to keep working hard. The kids are playing hard. We're not playing very smart, but we're playing hard. At times, we're really good, and at times, we're like freshmen and sophomores. I was always told by an old coach a long time ago that for every sophomore and freshman you play, you're going to lose 1 game. And I've been coaching a long time, and I've always, for some reason, they're about true. It usually ends up being that way.
Do you think the kids feel pressure, though, just because they've got the uniform on, and if they don't, take care of business like Gretna has in the past? And I understand everything you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with it.
Yeah, I think they get pressure put on them. I think, they walk around school and they get told they're not as good as teams they've been in the past, and that kind of thing. And, you get people that, come to games and they expect to see the same thing that you see every year at Gretna. And, the great thing about high school football is you don't have that every year. I mean, you go on when you're talking to school now that's under 600 kids, it's hard to get the same amount of kids. It's not the amount of kids you're getting out, it's the quality of kids you're getting out.
Right.
The more kids you have in the school, the better your quality is going to be. Well, it should be. Let's just put it that way. It's just not, it's not 590-some kids. And so you figure you get 10 kids in each class. Right now we only got 3 in the senior class. So you get 10 kids in every class after that. You're having to play, sophomores and freshmen. And some of the older kids that have come out, and they haven't played, got that many varsity reps. They get some in games where they get mop-up duty, but still not starting and playing, 2 different things.
Give me the bright points of what you saw maybe Friday night and what you've seen throughout the season.
Well, they find ways to win. We could easily be 0-4. That's something that, they need to really realize. People need to realize. Secondly is, it's not like we played some really bad teams here. I mean, Essex is no one team in the state, And when we got our feet settled down, we played fairly well for the most part that game, and after that, and then we come back and play the good Tunstall team, who's got a chance to win the Piedmont. They're going to be as good as anybody they're going to play in the Piedmont. Probably the best Tunstall team they've had in 10 or 12 years. And Amelia is not. They were in the state semifinals last year, and they had some kids that could play, and they going through some growing pains. Our effort every Friday night is great. I mean, we got down 14-0 to Altavista the other night, and we tied up, and going into the fourth quarter, it's 14-14, and we just made some mistakes. And, our consistency is really poor right now. We're not playing very consistent at times. Altavista couldn't move the ball, and at times they couldn't stop us. And then at times we couldn't stop them, and at times they could move the ball. It's just the consistency that you need to play at the level we're having to play against is got to improve. I mean, if we were playing some of these other teams around here that aren't that good, our record would be a lot different. And then, we might only have one loss, or we might not have any. I don't know. I mean, sooner or later, the switch is going to go off on our kids, and they're going to put together a whole game. And then once those young guys put together a whole game, it's going to be really fun to watch because they'll want to do it again. I mean, our effort's not an issue. That's our mental game. Our mental capacity is what needs the biggest improvement.
Well, I was going to say I feel bad for the other team when that switch does come on for you guys because it's probably not going to be the prettiest thing in the world. Speaking of pretty, aside from us being pretty, I think we also have in common that we are high school football fans across the area. With that being said, I think when you watch a highlight show, whether it's Dennis and Justin or Friday Football Extra or WSLS, any of them, you see people like Kendall B. Kraft and Randall Jones from Rustburg and Parrish at Heritage, but no one seems to talk about Juan Thornhill a lot, and from what I hear, he's really, really good. How good is he?
He's really good running the ball. His throwing ability is average. That's not an issue to me. He's not in a category with. He's not in the league with B. Kraft, and nobody in this area is. B. Kraft. If B. Kraft wanted to run the ball, he could run the ball. I've seen him run it, and he's just on a different level than all the quarterbacks in the area. That's hands down. He's probably, Thornhill's a very, very good football player, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I mean, he can run the ball, he can make plays, he's an athlete back there. His throwing is, he's going to be good in division, in single A football, and he's going to be hard for a lot of teams to match up with. I think he's got some good receivers. They got great speed at the receivers, and they can make things happen in space. He can make plays. He can ad-lib and do those things and create. That's what makes him a really good player. And he plays tough, and I like the way he plays.
Well, I think a lot of people probably thought when they lost Ricky at the quarterback spot, and I know he was banged up a little bit last year too, but I think they felt like a general public who is sometimes not always on top of things, when they lost Ricky, I think a lot of people thought Altavista would suffer. So, I mean, does Thornhill alone keep Altavista from suffering, I guess, is kind of my question too?
I don't think they're going to suffer by any means. I think they got they got good skill kids all the way around them. I think, the two twins are very good. Michi's a very good football player. They can create things when they catch the ball in space and do those things. You got to worry about. They got one thing to worry about, like I've always had to worry about here, is when the weather turns bad and you get a wet field, what's going to happen to your speed and that kind of thing. The thing we were fortunate enough to have in the past is we had a big back like Tony Miller, and that helped us. And I don't know if they got a big back that can help them with that, but I do like their football team. I think they're going to be hard for people to beat. They play really good on defense. Very sound. I mean, that's just, they're a good Mike Charnes football team.
What are your other impressions? I know you haven't seen everybody in the Dogwood, obviously, but I know people talk and people watch TV and everything. Any surprises stick out to you from the Dogwood so far?
No, not at all. I mean, I think Altavista, I knew going into the season, I thought Altavista would be really good because they were really young last year, and that's, I'm shocked they lost to James River, who I wouldn't think would, I wouldn't think, if they played again, it'd probably be a 5 or 6 touchdown difference, I would have to think, in Altavista and James River. I think their youth got them a little bit against James River, and they got up and kind of coasted a little bit, kind of like we did on Amelia. We were up 28-7 on Amelia, and our young kids did the same thing. They just, think the game's over. They don't think you got to step on their throats and that kind of thing. And, and with Altavista, it's a learning experience for them, too, with all the young kids they got. And I think, beating us the other night, was big for them. The key to it is what do you do after you win a really big game? What are you going to turn around and do the next week? So I think, they'll be fine, but they got to be able to put the two together.
Right. I hope I'll be willing to bet money Greg Mullins hopes they have a letdown this week since William Campbell's traveling into English Stadium. And you guys this week have the rare non-district game sandwiched in with Brunswick. What do you know about Brunswick?
They're athletic. They won state championship in basketball. They got a defense end that's committed to Virginia Tech. Good football team. They're double A right now. They'll be in double A again next year with a new classification, which they'll be moving down to, technically would be single A next year. But, we played them last year, and they've played LCA, and, they have their good moments and bad moments. It's just hard to get a feel for somebody, Our main thing isn't who we play, it's who we take out on the field with us when we play. I mean, our improvement has to come within and not worry as much about who we're playing and just making sure we line up, tackle, and block, and do what we're supposed to do. And when we do that, we're a pretty good football team. I mean, the other night we got down 14-0 to Altavista, never quit. We come back tied up on 14-14 in the fourth quarter, and then we just act like we've lost our minds. And, that's just one of those things, and it's a learning experience. It's growing pains for us. We just got to keep playing each week. And hopefully, like I said, it'll eventually gonna click. I mean, we got good talent. We got good football players. We just got to put it all together one night, and once it gets put together, then they'll get a taste of it. I think it will be pretty good the next week.
Knowing what I know about you, you're not really a coddler. Is it your job right now to kind of massage these kids' egos so they don't get so far down, or is it your job to be honest when you got to be honest?
I believe in being honest. I don't think you can, lie to the kids. They know what's going on, and they know what's going to be expected of them. At our football program, they know that. I don't like their effort. I told them that after the game on Friday. I was very proud of their effort. I'm just not very happy with their lack of football knowledge and their lack of discipline as far as knowing where they're supposed to be, where they're supposed to line up, who they're supposed to block. Those things are getting a little agitated. Those things are getting to the point now where, they shouldn't be making these mistakes. And they still are. At times, the other night, Thornhill, they bottled him up. He couldn't do anything. And other times, we couldn't tackle him for anything. I mean, that's just what's frustrating about it is the fact that, if they couldn't do it all the time, that'd be a different story. But when you can do it some of the time and play really well some of the time, that's what's frustrating as a coach. Now, for them, we're just going to keep getting better. And no, I'm not a coddler. Life's not one of these things where everybody gets a hug, Yeah, they can say all this all they want. All these people say put their arms around. Life's not that easy.
Right.
Life's not, I'm doing a poor job of it as a coach, preparing these kids for life. I think, when things are bad, you're supposed to go in there and get a hug and tell them, oh, yeah, it's going to get better. All you got to do is just, you got to put your nose to the grindstone and get back to work, pull your sleeves up, act like a man and man up, and get with it. Or you get beat.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so basically you wouldn't treat this team any different than you would treat a team if they were 4-0 and blowing people out by 30?
No, I'm going to treat them the same way. That's the expectations that I've always had for every team I've ever had. Is, they're going to all be treated the same. We're going to get after it. They're going to learn to tackle. They're going to get better each week. And a 4-0 team's going to get better each week. And 0-4 team's going to get better each week. I mean, you get more. Our schedule goes, Friday night's the halfway point of the season. a lot of it is just lack of experience by playing.
I want to get the keys of the game, but one quick question before I do, and I promise I'm not trying to start any controversy, and I'm not going to tell you to be honest because you're always honest, but is there a dissension right now in terms of, your fans are not used to 2-2? I mean, do you feel like you're having trouble from the fan base, and does that really make it you guys, when I say you guys, your team against the world type thing?
Well, no, I haven't thought that at all. I think, fans are fans. I mean, Bill Belichick could be coaching a team, and fans are going to disagree with what, goes on and how they play. I mean, fans are fans. I mean, the word fan is short for fanatic.
Right.
So if you look at the definition of fanatic, it's not always the greatest and the rosiest of definitions. So you got to take the good with the bad. And, they're fans, and I know that, and our kids know that. I don't think there's any dissension. I think anybody that's followed Gretna football knows that realizes what's out there when you start. I can just right off the top of my head, 2 sophomores and a freshman starting, a defensive tackle and the 2 inside linebackers. So, I mean, right there, they could be playing on Thursday nights for most people, but they're playing for us on Friday. So I think anybody that's followed Gretna football knows what we're putting out there. They understand what's going on. I think, we as coaches all of a sudden hadn't gotten dumb by any means.
Right.
I mean, we've won a boatload of games here at Gretna, and it's just, we got a situation where we got a senior class at our school with only 3 kids are playing, and they've only had 3 kids in the football program. Our senior class at our school doesn't play a lot of sports. They do a lot of other things. So, I mean, every school and every school that I know of has a class that, has where they're not in there participating in things. So it's just, the way it goes. It's nothing to blame on anybody or anything. It's just the way it is. It's life. I mean, the great thing about high school football, what makes high school football coaching, is I don't recruit the players I got. I'm not like some schools that can recruit the players and get players to come in from other places and build positions when I have openings. I got to play with what I got. That's why I enjoy coaching high school football. That's why I love being a football coach at Gretna. I plan on being a football coach at Gretna a very long time. It's what makes it worthwhile as a football coach, is to go out there and have to work with what you got.
Well, I like to hear that because I don't want to have to start bothering somebody else to talk about Gretna football. I'd rather bother you. So
I don't have a problem you bothering. You never bother me. I don't have a problem doing it at all.
Final question for you, Coach. Best of luck against Brunswick.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, special teams, 1 key in each that gives you guys a W.
Well, the one thing that we got to do in all phases of the game is be consistent. We've got to play good in all 3 phases. Right now we're making youthful mistakes, and I'm tired of saying that, because I think it becomes an excuse and a crutch. And at our place, the word youth is not acceptable anymore. That's going to be discussed tomorrow at practice, and those things we're not discussing anymore. We got what we got, and we don't make excuses. Hey, that's one thing I'll say about our kids. They're going to man up and know they got beat. They're not saying it was because of this, that, or the other thing. We just got beat. That's life. So if we don't make any mistakes in any 3 phases of the game, we got a chance to be really good. Now, if we make mistakes, then we got a chance to be bad. That's just, we got a fine line between us being really good and us being really bad. So that's what we got to get. We got to get that line out of the picture. We just got to get it out of the way and be good all the time. We got to tackle on defense, and we got to tackle on special teams. At times we tackle well, and at other times we tackle poorly. And that's just a lack of focus, a lack of a little bit of technique, and just not being in the right place. So we do those things, we'll have a chance to win Friday.
Always love your honesty. Always a treat for me, Coach. Best of luck Friday, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.